Right. Starting with the vanilla deck, doing all challenges, I'm going to be using this as like a teaching tool to see if I can, like, educate people on my philosophy of the game, or like, be some sort of insightful, I suppose. Do I think I'll be able to do it with the vanilla deck? Maybe not. Let's see if I get like a broken start or not, though. If I get a broken start, I could potentially do it. Oh! Well, that works. So here, what I can actually do is I can actually use field mice and... What's the other one? Go click field mice, because field mice is good. Field mice allows me to basically create a infinite wall. With beehive, because beehive will pay for itself, which will allow me to get through one lane. The problem right now is I'm currently trying to think of a solution to actually get through, 8 big bears. Because that is one of the challenges. So what is my current solution for it? None at the moment. What could be my solution for 8 bear? Well, Pronghorn with 5 attack on a lane, because Pronghorn will kill something and then allow the other creature to beat in directly to direct damage. Getting a creature with 6 attack and double strike, but that requires me Direwolf first, and then actually getting a creature with 6 attack, which Grey White could be. Another way is I could just like infinitely make a wall. Are any of these free? No. Do any of these allow me to infinitely make a wall? Potentially. Beehive is almost there, but not quite there. So here's the thing, everyone's probably screaming, just click the cuckoo, Monger. Do it. And like, it's good, but it's not going to get through bears. The problem right now is I need to find a solution for bears. None of these are. Because if I fuse Cuckoo with field mice, that will get me 2 bears, but it will not get me 3 bears, which is the big debacle here. Beehive could potentially. Very janky though. I'll click Beehive. Reason being, what my thought process is here. If I can potentially get it a health buff and then put field mice on it, I could potentially just wall out bears and then just jam enough damage in one lane to actually get through. So I'm going to slap the field mice directly onto the beehive and profit. That's the idea, at least. Let's see if I die before that point. Okay, so coming up, there's Trapper, which is great, because it allows you to have less cards in your deck in total. The problem is you can't trade those in until map 2, and map 1 is the one you have to worry about first. Additionally, I've already used my field mice on a beehive. If I hadn't, one thing I could potentially do is use field mice on a pelt, which would allow me to get through the bear encounter by basically just jamming up a bunch of lanes. But since I can't currently do that, I don't think that's a good idea. However, I'll leave my options open in case something about this fight changes my perspective. Alright, so we have the beehive. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately use one of these items, so that way if I find a pack rat later, I don't get completely screwed. Not a pack rat, an item space. Because one other way to get through bears is just use scissors and, kill them. Like a pair of pliers and a scissors with something that has 4 damage gets you through the first fight. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Beehive right here, so that way the Bullfrog is going to hit this and I get a bee in hand. Yay! I am accruing value. And I don't really feel the need to actually draw a squirrel, because A, I'm going to use this, because I feel like it's less valuable than pliers to me for some. That reason being, 4 damage is a lot easier than 5. Honestly, I should probably just use both items. I might. Plus it just gets me through this fight, like, instantaneously. If my math is not off, it is off. Never mind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the power of fecundity to play a beehive here, play a beehive here, and play a bee here. Or not. This allows me to restock my hand with more bees. I can now use an aqua squirrel in conjunction with the beehive to summon a wolf, and then I can play another bee, and we get through the fight. Not really worrying too much about overkill damage, because if I have to go to Trapper, that's already a bad thing for the most part. With the exception of the knife. The knife is really good. Cat is nice. Mud Turtle is as well, because with Mud Turtle what I could do is I could get 6 damage in one lane, because I could have the wolf hit a lane and proceed to take a damage and then hit that lane again. That's 6 damage out of the 12 I'll need to get through a lane. Do I think I'm going to find another sacrifice space in time? Probably not. And Cat just allows me to blitz on tempo, because it allows me to play infinite beehives. It allows me to play Bullfrog and Stoat together on turn 1, which is really nice. Flying it, not sure if you noticed, I do not have a lot of ants, so I do not think I will be clicking for. I'm going to click Cat, because Many Lives is a very useful sigil. Divine Shield, or as it's actually called, Armored, is also really nice. But I don't think I'll have time to get it set up. Now we go to the fire here. If it's a Hellfire, we buff the Beehive. If it's an attack fire, I don't know what we'd do. So an interesting thing about fires is you can use them either as card removal, or you can use them as actual buffs. In this case, I think I'll use it as a buff, because if I can get these beehives to 6 health, that would be... I'm not going to risk it, because this card is currently the best card in my deck, in my opinion. Wolf is really good too, but it's a little bit more sketchy. Alright, fighting more bugs. Fighting a flying ant. So one interesting play we can make here is we can play the cat, use that to play the bullfrog, and then use the bullfrog and the cat to play the wolf. Should I put it in front of the ant? Probably not, because now I'm going to take an extra. It's fine though. We can also now play the stoat. Who doesn't love the stoat? Stoat's actually going to take a damage. We're still fine this fight. We're taking more damage than I would normally like, but we are going to eventually just out-damage them. Right now, I think, is that turning point. Because we start actually just killing all their units and allow our units to actually get damage through. And we actually win right here. That works out. Now we have an interesting choice. We could take a 1 cost, we could take a 2 cost, or we could take a bone cost. So, here's the thing to think about. 1 cost are always decent because you can play them on turn 1. 2 drops are a mixed bag, but they usually have higher stats than 1 drops. And that would allow me to push through damage. Plus, if I get another source of fecundity, this game will become trivialized. Bone cost is very risky, because bone cost, what would happen with it, is there's a mechanic called Fair Hand. What it does is it makes sure, after you draw your first 2 cards, if you can't play either of them on the first turn, it will prioritize giving you a 1 cost, a 3 cost, or a 0 cost. Which, if you didn't notice, you can't play a lot of bone cards on turn 1. Especially if you don't have anything else to play them with, like if we just start taking a bunch of 2 drops, for example. So you either want to minimize the amount of 2 drops you take, or just never take bone cards. However, bone cards have a lot of good sigils. They've got Alpha's sigil, they've got Cockroach's sigil, quite a few others that just aren't coming to mind. However, I think the choice here is 2 drop, because I need more damage to beat through. We get Pronghorn. Pronghorn is fine. Not the best in the world, but it's not the worst in the world. We get another Hellfire. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to give our beehive even more health. Which is great, because now the beehives can actually survive one attack from a bear. Which will allow us to eventually just flood the board. Got another fight here. So what I see is a bullfrog. Bullfrogs are funny. I'm going to do that same play we did last time, just to get ahead on tempo. Tempo is very important in this game. You always have to keep your pressure up and theirs down. Otherwise you will just lose. Now, you see, that is a really unfortunate combination they're about to play, because this adder is going to immediately kill my cat, which is a great source of value at the moment. Also, my game froze? No, there's just a curl error. And this alpha is going to kill this wolf. But, thankfully, since we have the beehive, we can potentially turn this around. I'm just going to leave my computer unplugged. The game starts to lag whenever it's plugged in and not charging. I need to get a new charger at some point. We are 1 damage off lethal. Conveniently, bees do 1 damage. I probably should have used those pliers here, because what I could have done is I could have gone and immediately gotten probably a better item than pliers. So now we have the choice between 1, 2, and 3. 3 is a whole different dynamic, because what 3 usually has is creatures with either very powerful sigils or very high stats, which will allow us to actually get through a wall of bears. Which would be nice, because our current solution is play wolf, have it die, play pronghorn, have it die, play wolf, have it die, play bullfrog, have it die, play stoat, have it die, and eventually win with bees, which if your plan involves eventually, you usually need a better plan, because starvation is an actual threat that will end your run. For those uninitiated, starvation is a mechanic where if you would attempt to draw a card from a deck that is empty, you will begin to play minions with repulsive, starting at 1/1, going to 2/2, all the way up till infinity. There are some certain breakpoints that matter. Like at 5, they gain flying. At 9, they start dealing 1 damage directly to you whenever they enter play. But the main thing is the repulsive sigil, which means you can't attack them directly. One way around is flyers, but it's kind of problematic. The game usually is designed that you attack their minions, they attack yours, so on and so forth, until one person wins. If you can't attack them, you're going to lose. So with 3 drops, that would actually give us a threat to actually get through big walls. Because, like, even the worst 3 drop here will get us through bears in like 3 turns. The worst one here, if you're wondering, would probably be Great White, because Great White swims, and swimming against bears is usually bad. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. That's fine. So we have a choice here. We could go to 2 fires, which we would be buffing what exactly? Great White? If it's 2 attack fires? That doesn't seem particularly worth it. Is it more worth it than the alternative of sacrificing, say, Cat onto Stoat, so that way our deck is just thinner and more consistent, and we can also get an item that could potentially just trivialize the fight? I think items are probably a better gambit. I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. So here's a question. Since we actually have all of the cards that start in our deck having the annoying sigil, because that is one of the challenges, you can actually sacrifice the Stoat onto the cat, or you could sacrifice the cat onto the Stoat. The main difference here being, do you want a 1-2, or do you want a 0-1, which will eventually, very much so eventually, become a 3-6. In my experience, that usually takes too long. So, I will say I will put the cat onto the Stoat. It also doesn't really change our clock that much, because cat has 0 damage. For what that's worth. Now we can also get an item. Inside, we have a black goat, which would allow us to play our Great White on turn 1 if we draw it on our opening hand. Squirrel in a bottle, which is always nice. It allows you to get like free tempo in a fight where it might come down to the extra 1-2 you can play on turn 1, or the fact that you can play a 2-drop on turn 1. In that case specifically, Black Goat is just as good, and Black Goat sometimes has upside. But if you're just trying to play 2 1-drops, that's where Squirrel shines. Or we could take Wise Clock. What Wise Clock will allow us to do is rotate the board clockwise. Why is this good? It would allow us to steal a Grizzly, so I'm going to click this one. It'll make this fight a lot easier. So, a problem with our entire plan that we built up to this point is we decided to invest in Beehive. If you didn't notice, beehives do not block birds. This is going to be problematic. So what do we do on turn 1? We could potentially do nothing. That's probably a bad idea. We could play the beehive, which will do nothing. That's probably a bad idea. Or we could play the bullfrog. The choice seems fairly obvious. The question is where to put it. Do we put it in front of the kingfisher so it dies immediately? Put it in front of the kingfisher so it dies immediately? Put it in front of the kingfisher so it dies immediately? Or give it the most amount of time to survive? Again, the choice seems relatively obvious. I'm going to let my bullfrog live as long as possible. And immediately they attempt to kill it. That's fine. Because we can start getting rid of their board state with aqua squirrels. we can just play our aqua squirrels and they will replace the kingfishers. Just keep drawing from the deck. Eventually we'll find a solution. And by drawing from the deck, I mean drawing from the squirrel deck, apparently. We are going to give them another aqua squirrel. Taking our time here because we've got nothing to risk. The only thing we're risking is potentially starvation. But that shouldn't be an issue. I just have to remember how clock works for a sec. So when we play the clock, the board will rotate clockwise. That will mean this lane will be open, so I need to put the great white here. And the pronghorn here? Yeah. In the meantime, we don't have that many cards in the deck left, but we can still keep waiting. One more turn is fine. Now, I think we are good to go. And the order we want to do this is we want to play the stoat first. And we want to play the aqua squirrel. Wait. No, I needed to wait longer, I think. Yeah, I needed to wait slightly longer. Well, I can think of one cheeky thing I might be able to do. So now what we can do is we can play pronghorn here. And we can play the great white here. This will allow us to get a bunch of these. I made a mistake. I think we're still fine. We are not fine. I might have taken too long. Let's see where he puts it. That's actually fine. Because now what we can do is we can use our wise clock. And now we have lethal. I might have made some mistakes along the way, but I figured out the path in the end. So we deal 5 directly, which is enough to kill him. Nice. We didn't have to resort to stalling. Okay, so the choices here. Mealworm is not. Well, I don't mean to say. Not very good. What I mean to say is it's not very good right now. Why? Well, actually I could think of something. Never mind. Because what we could actually use Mealworm from is we could put it on the Great White. then sacrifice the Great White to the Pronghorn. Now it'd be 1 damage short. Never mind, scratch that. It's still an interesting idea. The problem is, again, it's a bone cost. So what could happen is I could hypothetically draw Wolf, Great White, and Mealworm. In which case, I probably die. I could also take Ant Queen, which is a 2-blood Ant 3, which makes an Ant in hand. I'm not currently in the Ant deck, but if I were to begin going into the Ant deck, Ant Queen is the card to do it. Because Ant Queen, with some form of Undying, allows you to basically build an army of ants for free. However, I think the real choice here is Ant Tentacle. Why? Because with our Beehive, in conjunction with our Beehive, we can get our hand very big, which will allow us to just deal 12 damage and clear a lane immediately while blocking the rest. Allow us to kill bears in 2 turns. Anyways, onward. Good thing I used an item, because we're about to be forced to get another. So now, we'll take a card here. We could take another Beehive, which is interesting, because what we could do with a Beehive is start working with my color. Do I really have anything to break it with Mycologist? Well, putting the Bullfrog onto a Beehive would be kind of nice. Because air blocking would mean that our combo doesn't just die to flyers. And we could give it annoying, so if they have like a rabbit for some reason, which I have seen, the rabbit can now attack the Beehive. The other options here are Rattler, which seems actively bad because of it being a bone cost, as explained before. Or we could take Mud Turtle. What does Mud Turtle do? It allows us to give this a shield. So we only have to get to 6 cards install for 3 turns, as opposed to getting to 12 cards installing for 2 turns. Which is fine. And all. But this is kind of up to personal preference. I'm going to go with the Beehive, because that's what I feel more comfortable with. We get another item space. And we get another clock. That's huge. Because now we don't have to worry about... Excuse me. We don't have to worry about making a janky setup on the fly. We can just use the setup we did last time. And now we have another fight. This fight looks kind of rough. Why do I say that? Well, Coyote and River Otter. Kinda spooky. However, we can put a Beehive in front of a River Otter. Just chill for now. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, just because, in case I need to get rid of an item. Which I might. Now this is a lot more scary, since they are actively playing the Coyote. I have to think about what to draw here, because if I draw a squirrel, I can play the Pronghorn without having to sacrifice the Beehive, which would be nice and all. But I think if I do that, then where am I putting it? I could put it here or here. Putting it here is actively bad. Putting it here kills 1 Coyote. That's actually fine. Or I could draw from the deck. Drawing from the deck could be anything. It could even be another Beehive. I'm going to say, let's draw from the Squirrel deck. And here's the reason, because it allows me to actually play both of these However, I'm going to wait on playing the tentacle. So that was actually kind of a mistake. And I've actually killed myself. My apologies. I should actually keep track of what my life total is. Now this is a neat little trick. You can actually go back to the menu if you've made a mistake and restart the fight. Showing all my options available. And you almost always draw the same hand with the same enemies in the same spots. I swear, I always forget the fact that I have like one less life than I think I do. I thought I was fine. That's my main mistake whenever I play this game. Along with just being bad in general. I forget what I drew. I drew a squirrel, so I actually don't know what's on top of the deck. Let's find out what's on top of it. So, I could do this instead to not die. Not dying sounds pretty good. Now, however, we're in a scenario where I kind of need to draw something very good here. Which, a tentacle is. This fight is going very south very quickly. I think I have to do that so that way I don't die. I think I also might need to use the clock here. Let me think. So one thing I could do is I could actually just steal the alpha right now. Do I have to feel like I need to spin the clock here? Maybe. Probably not, though. Because what I can do is I can do this. And I've essentially created a stalemate. Because we'll do one, we'll take one, and all crew beat in hand. Which, if you know anything about card games, drawing cards is pretty good. Now we can begin to push advantage. By replaying these beehives over and over, and having the wolf start to get in for damage, we can start to actually get our life total higher. We'll also kill this alpha over here, which is fine. I feel bad for having to use the save mechanic in an abusive manner. But, honestly, it's probably good I showed that off. A lot of people might not know that. I'm going to wait. Why am I waiting? I want to maximize overkill damage. I made a joke earlier about how overkill damage doesn't really... But, it might actually be worth it in this case. Because going to the trapper and buying a knife would be really good. This is our maximum damage output. And we won the fight after resetting once. There are choices here. Or we can go to the left, get a pelt in the deck. Which a pelt is a fine card. It's free, as mentioned before. And later down the road, we get a card of better quality because we get to look at 8 cards as opposed to 3. However, item would also be really good. Pack rat would not, so we could not buy the knife here. It's kind of unfortunate. Or we could just straight up remove a card. What would we cut from this deck? Maybe Grey White. It's no longer necessary. Sure. And we hit another Field Mice. That seems really strong. I'm going to click the strong card. I'm going to attempt to remove Grey White because Grey White is redundant at this point. And then we're going to go on to our next fight. The sketchy thing about this fight is I still have Field Mice. I have not yet been able to remove it. And Field Mice, on its own, is a really bad card. The problem is its sigil is also really good. So taking it is usually worth it. There are scenarios where it's not. I'm going to go ahead and play Stoat and Beehive, put Beehive in front of the Wolf Cub, and put Stoat off to the side so it can deal some damage. And they immediately counter with a Wolf, which is kind of spooky, but ultimately probably fine. Going to put a P in front of the Sparrow, so that way we're even on damage. After that turn. Now we're dealing the same amount of damage to each other, because this turn I can just play a Beehive. And just kind of time him out. This is a very slow way to win a fight, but it does work, as long as there's no flyers. Foreshadowing! JK, I don't know what's going to happen this round. What are we waiting on now? Hand Tentacle, because Hand Tentacle will allow us to just clear lane and then kill him in 2 turns. Which I will do. As you can see, Beehive with Fecundity is very good at giving you a lot of time against ground attackers. The problem is when they're in the air. That's also the same amount of damage, so playing that was relevant. That's fine. So what do we see ahead of us now? We see the potential to build half a totem. So the thing with totem spaces is the first totem space is basically a null space. The second one, however, could be anywhere from actively bad to literally win the game. There's also better card quality for going here, because we actually get to see what our choice is, as opposed to just choosing random blood cost. What could happen here is we could potentially run into another duplicate, like Wolf. That would be really strong. Or Hand Tentacle. That would be nice, but not entirely necessary. We don't want to stitch our Beehives together, because that would be really bad. This fire, however, if it's health, we could give our Hand Tentacle an ounce more health so it doesn't die to thorns, or sharp quills, I think is the actual name. Or if it's an attack fire, we could actually give our beehives attack, so we don't have to wait nearly as long. The beehives will actually just start to clear the lanes and get through. So we come to this choice again. We do not need a 3 cost anymore. 2 cost are kind of nice, but we're kind of heavy on 2 cost. A 1 cost would be really good. Kingfisher. Kingfisher is not a good card. Why do I not want to go to the mycologist when I have 2 beehives? Well, because right now, all it would be right now is giving this +2 health. Which, while that's nice and all, it's not very good. So we're going to go ahead and give the beehive attack. Just 1. No need to risk it a second time. What we actually could have done is we could have risked the other beehive twice, and if we lost it, whatever. And if we got it, then we could fuse it up here to have a 2/6 beehive. I think what we did is fine. So we're fighting stinky pronghorns. Okay. I will play a beehive. Pass the turn. I will now proceed to fill every single lane with a beehive. Just so I feel safe. Start to kill this mole. Lock in that pronghorn. Give us a lot of time. We get field mice. Field mice is actually okay to play right now, because what we could do is we could start to chunk through these elks. Because they have stinky, our 1-attack beehives are not actually dealing damage. So we could use the field mice to start to deal 1 damage. Is that worth it? Maybe. I think so. And then I'm going to not attempt to play 2 field mice because that's just kind of silly. Play the beehive back here, so that way I can accrue more bees in hand. Card advantage is key. So, we can see that this field mice is going to die on the next turn, because the stoat is going to kill it. Additionally, this beehive right here, while it's accruing value, it's not really doing much besides that. So, we could actually play the wolf here instead to kill the elk fawn, because that elk fawn is going to become quickly problematic. We can also play another beehive. Accrue more value. I wish I were able to get this grand fur out of the way, but the only way to do that is to let this pronghorn go, and that seems kind of bad. We actually win this turn. I'll just win. Again, we're offered a choice. We could go here, attempt to get something worth fusing, which we don't really have, or we could go here, get a random card, and get 2 sacrifices. What would we do with 2 sacrifices? Well, for the first one, we would put field mice onto something worthwhile. For the second one, I'm not sure. Maybe put Kingfisher on the wolf. Seems okay. Not particularly well. Could also get something here worth changing. And if we get bone here, it's actually worth clicking, because we could just sacrifice the bone card immediately. I'm going to click a 3 crossed in hopes of getting dire roll. We got Lammergeier. Lammergeier is still really good. Because Lammergeier is a creature that scales. So what do we sack here first? Well, the first thing I've thought of is let's put Bullfrog on the other beehive. And then secondly, so the choice here is I'm going to sacrifice Field Mice, but do I put it on Lammergeier or Hand Tentacle? The reason I ask this question is because this is based on hand size, and this is based on their total bones. This is a 3-drop, and this is a 1-drop. Yes, I'm stating things you can read. Why do I bring that up? Because these two are both of our, late into a fight, beat the bear win con. Which one do I think is going to have higher attack by that point in the... By that point in the fight, we could have Lammergeier have infinite attack, while Hand Tentacle could potentially get to... probably 12? Probably 12. Do I think I will need to play Lammergeier more than once? Probably not. I think I might need to play Hand Tentacle more than once. Considering it only has 1 health, maybe. What are our other options here? We could put a Pronghorn onto, Wolf or Lammergeier, just so we have a big finisher. We could sacrifice Kingfisher on a card we don't intend to keep. We could put Kingfisher on the Lammergeier, which is... Giving Lammergeier swimming it is actually kind of good. But I think just giving our Tentacle a bit of staying power is worth it. There are a lot of choices there. One thing I will note, you really want to have a thin deck when you play this game, because the thinner the deck, the more likely you are to draw your bomb cards, and the less likely you are to die on turn 1. And now we fight the Prospector. Easy, boss. The Mule's key. Nah. Prospector's actually kind of annoying right now, because we are going to take a lot of damage very fast. We do not, in our hand, currently have a solution for that. This was a misplay, because this will begin attacking your stoat. This, however, was not, because now we can put the wolf in front of the other wolf and kill both the frontliner and the backliner. Which is super nice. Anytime you can kill more than 1 card in a turn, it's very good. I'm going to attempt to draw a card from the deck. Draw a beehive. Now, I have to remember, this will come into play first, right? Which will kill our wolf, which would be bad. Or we could have it attack a beehive, which will allow us to acquire some bees, so we can actually start to cheat on cost. Which is great. I don't feel like I need to explain why reducing the total cost of your deck is a good thing. I might. Sure. Making cards cheaper makes them able to be played earlier, which allows you to actually get your cards out before the opponent does. Or just on time in general. Why am I drawing from the deck so much? Because I wanted to dig until we found the tentacle. Now that we have the tentacle, we can just kind of stall through cards in hand. Why am I taking this long of a route? Good question, because I have a simpler answer in hand. What I could do is I could just play this beehive over and over. Proceed to generate an arbitrarily large amount of bones. Which will allow our Lammergeier to actually just kill 2 bears in one swing. However, I will not do that this turn because I want to make sure I can fill all my other lanes with attackers. While I could immediately end the phase now, I do not think it's the best idea. Now I'll pass the turn. And the next turn we will draw a squirrel and proceed to the win the game step. So now what we do, we play the Aqua Squirrel, play the Lammergeier, which has 15 attack, which is more than what we need, and fill the rest of the lanes up with bees. Beehives, specifically. We don't even need to use the clock. We then proceed to go on to phase 2, where he spams the board full of grizzlies. And now we can just pass the turn, because since we gave the 6 health, these grizzlies will attack and not kill the beehives, so we just have bees in hand to replace them. And we have 16 attack, which will kill this grizzly and this grizzly. We win in 2 turns. And we win. The old. I like how they're red. I never noticed that before. Red is like my favorite. And now we get our quote-unquote rare. A Bell Tentacle, which is just a better wolf. In most scenarios. A Raven, which is like your average flyer. It's a meh card. We could get Rat King. Considering we have no bone cost, and the only bone synergy we really have is Lammergeier, and all that would do is when this dies, give it +2 attack. I do not think Rat King is our best choice. So of these 3, I will click Belt. What does this say? It says TUE represent by this. What that actually means is this sigil, not this sigil, the symbol? Blue. Basically, instead of confusing myself, this damage here is based off how far away it is from the bell. So if it's on the far left, it will deal 4. If it's in the second slot, it will deal 3. And so on and so forth until 1. Which is why I say it's a better wolf, because while it doesn't have a tribe, it has more health and sometimes more attack. So we have a lot of choices here. Unfortunately, no mycologist in sight. But what we do see is a trial. Now, the interesting thing about trials is trials give good rewards or no rewards. Both are upside. Why did I say that? Well, you could potentially get a card that just outright wins the game from it. Like you could get a Warren with Fecundity and Hoarder and just go off, I guess. Or you could get nothing. Why is nothing strong? You're not diluting your deck with garbage. Let's go to the trial, because there's also a trial here and a sacrifice here. Any way we can reduce cards in the deck is good. In this case, I actually kind of want to attempt to lose the trial. We have 2 birds, we have 2 insects, we have a deer, and we have a wolf. Ken is kind of scary. We could probably win that. Attack power. Funnily enough, a lot of our attack power is actually just based off, like, conditional values, which for the sake of a trial means 0. However, wolf would still be a concern. And for health, if we draw beehive or, like, Lammergeier, we just win on the spot. I think our best chance to lose... Let me actually calculate it. I had to calculate the kin trial because kin trial. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'd be a 1 in 9 roll. Well, 2 out of 9 roll. Followed by a 1 out of 8 roll 2 times. Well, it'd be a 1 out of 8 and then 1 out of 7. You want to get pedantic. Yes, I realize my computer's running. Thank you for reminding me. I have to find just the right way for my computer to go. Please don't tab me out of the game every single time. I think I'll just have to play with the game being slow, unfortunately. Percent chance, I think. So I think power is out. Sorry, the frames are gonna die here. Unfortunately, we win the trial. But we could potentially get something good. Okay, so, of these options, Beehive is okay. Why is it just okay? Well, we already have a Beehive we want to fuse. Finding 2 mycologists is kind of slim pickings. The mole, the first ability is redundant, and the second ability... This mole is only relevant against, like, non-flyers. Same with this Beehive. This tadpole, however, while that second sigil is not very good, because it eventually evolves into a bullfrog, which has said sigil, the fact that it costs 0 is very good. 0 is a very premium cost in this game. You don't see 0 very often. Matter of fact, I think it's 2 knockout card. Sounds right. I think we'll take the free card. And we find a mycologist up ahead, which is super nice. We can finally fuse our beehives together. Additionally, we will need to cut another card along the way. What do we cut? So, we could cut the wolf. Bad. We could cut the kingfisher. We could put the kingfisher onto this so we guarantee 4 when we're trying to when we don't have the setup is really nice. The main reason I took this pronghorn is I wanted to put it onto something, but I haven't really had a good chance. I guess now is the time. We put it on the wolf. Why do we put it on the wolf instead of the bell? Well, first of all, we know what we want to do with the bell. Second off, putting bell in slot 2 feels to me like it's usually a mistake. Plus, the bell would proceed to move around, which when your attack is based off how far you are from the bell, having a sigil that moves you even further away from the bell is awful. Plus, I just wanted to get rid of that pronghorn. Pronghorn itself is not a very good card. However, its sigils are incredible. Sprinter can actually be used as upside in very rare scenarios. Usually it's like middling. But bifurcated strike is actually absurd. Also, log autumn GG's. This is why we did that. Now what we will proceed to do is go here, again, attempt to lose this trial. We can. We have a guaranteed failure button. I will click that button. Nice. I didn't want the card anyways. I now regret some decisions. I could have definitely taken that third beehive way back when. No, it actually would have still been kind of a detriment because we'd get dams instead of beehives. Which would be, So now we will go ahead and fuse said beehives together. And now we have a really good card. We have a 1/8 that blocks flyers, can be replayed infinitely, and has a bad sigil, and makes bees. Now our deck is looking a lot better, because it just got a lot thinner over the course of, like, those 2 spaces. We still have some, like, dud draws. Like, Glamourgyre, when we aren't set up, is really bad. Kingfisher is really bad. Okay, this is very spooky, because with that sigil on all his deer, we could just die. Just might. No! We get to use his own gimmick. We're going to hit him for 1, we're going to take 3, and then we are going to steal his moose buck. I'm going to draw from the deck, I guess. Lamau got him. Wait, no, we still lose. Hang on. Was there anything I could have done there? I do not. No, there was something I could have done, actually, now that I think about it. It's going to look very janky. So we have to do this in order to not die. Then, what we do is we draw a squirrel, use the clock again. However, this time, instead of letting the moose buck move around, what we can do is we can play the tentacle in 4. As much as I fucking hate it. Actually, I think we still do just lose. Yeah, we still just lose.